Good morning. Hey, what's up? This is Brian Kuzmar with the Daily Precious Metals Up Report for commercial rare coins and precious metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea for January 28th, Thursday. Wow, well, let's first start out with it is a nice day out there. It's 71 degrees, a little overcast, but it still beats the hell out of being up north. Let's move along to markets here because we got some potential serious stuff going on here. Black Swan event, a potential Black Swan event. And what is a Black Swan event for those of you who may not be familiar with it? A Black Swan event. Let's go to our favorite investor dictionary, which is not Wikipedia. Let's go to Investopedia. A Black Swan event. What is a Black Swan? A Black Swan is an unpredictable event that is beyond what is normally expected of a situation and has potential severe consequences. Black Swan events are characterized by their extreme rarity, severe impact, and the widespread insistence they were obviously in hindsight. They were obvious in hindsight. Key takeaways. A Black Swan is an extremely rare event. We already went over that. Extreme severe consequences. It cannot be predicted beforehand, though after the fact, many falsely claim it should have been predictable. You know, kind of like the 2008 market crash. That should have been predictable. I'm not saying it falsely either. Black Swan events can cause catastrophic damage to an economy by negatively impacting markets and investments, but even the use of robust modeling cannot prevent a Black Swan event. Reliance on standard forecasting tools can both fail to predict and potentially increase vulnerability to black swans by propagating risks and offering false security. So that is what a black swan event is, if you didn't know. And we've actually had a couple going on with this week in the stock market called GameStop and AMC. If you've been following that whole situation, Robin Hooders, the millennials, and people with a bunch of stimulus money in their pockets have been playing day traders, and they've gone and absolutely overwhelmed some short sellers with GameStop and AMC. I think they almost put one of them out of business. But you know, it's funny because this morning I was just reading they closed down their ability to trade that particular stock, which really means it's okay for the large institutions to short companies, to kill a company, to put a company out of business, to put make a lot of people broke, and retail investors, mom and pops, to break them. It's okay to break them, but when the reverse happens, when the people start to overload and start to put these large institutional corporations out of business, then they change the game all of a sudden. Then the rules change. Kind of like elections a little bit, isn't it? Don't get me going there, though. Let's move along to the next thing here. Black Swan event, I kind of described what it was, and here's what I'm talking about. Is the Reddit rebellion, which is going on with GameStop and going on with AMC, where they've actually destroyed some institutional short sellers. Is it going to descend on the precious metals market? Someone made that comment this morning on on Zero Hedge, and I think there might be some validity to it, but it's hard to tell because they're just assuming because gold and silver is way up this morning that that's a possibility. But we all know that gold and silver makes these crazy moves. Until you start seeing trades, it doesn't mean much. But it's very possible that this may be the catalyst to drive silver prices right through the roof, possibly. We'll see. But there's so much power behind the companies that own these silver short positions that, just like how they got Robinhood to make it so you can't trade those particular stocks now, they'll probably try to do the same thing with silver. Don't forget that these big corporations are in bed with government. They're in bed with them. It's almost like they work for the casino. And, if anything goes against them, the rules work for them. They can break the laws, not go to jail, and just get fined. Anyways, let's read into this little article here that we're talking about. Is the Reddit rebellion about to descend on the precious metals market? Precious metal ETFs and mining stocks are suddenly snapping higher this morning, raising questions about whether the Reddit rebellion is migrating to one of the most manipulated markets of all, which is the silver market. We've known this. I've known this. I've been talking about it for 20 years. Let's move along here. Here's a post on Reddit. Imagine if Wall Street bets finally ended the paper price suppression of precious metals. Physical silver has been a market cap of $30 billion, which is a joke. I 100% agree. I agree with that. Oh, here, let me go backwards. Sorry about that. This is only possible with infinite supply black hole paper derivative markets. My gosh, it's nice to see young people get this. And it could very end up being the biggest short squeeze in the world. But do you really think that the government is going to allow it to happen? Like I said, they're in bed with these big corporations. Let's read a little bit further. Silver bullion market is the most manipulated on earth. God, I like that. I think he's spot on. Any short squeeze in silver paper shorts would be epic. And I know that, and I agree. We know bullion banks are manipulating gold and silver to cover real inflation. They've been doing it for a long time, but they're doing it with the backing of the government. That's what you can't forget. The people that have unlimited money supplies to print. Both the industrial case and monetary case, debt printing has never been more favorable for the #1 inflation hedge, silver. Inflation-adjusted silver should be about $1,000 instead of $25. Wow, could you imagine, folks? Keep stacking, trust me on this. Why not squeeze SLB to a real physical price? I love the idea. I love it. Gosh, if I could get on Reddit, I'd start trying to encourage these guys to do that for sure. They can raise the price of silver in an epic way, just by getting behind it. Anyways, that's what we're looking at here. Let's see. TID, corner of the market. Government thinks it's possible to squeeze. GV thinks it's possible to squeeze silver after seeing AG and GME. Even I think we can do it. Buy silver. Go all in. The gangs will be unlimited. Demand physical if you can. F the banks. I like this new crowd of kids out there investing. They get it. They get that the corporations say it's okay for them to rob everyone blind, but if you try to rob them back, it's a whole different story. It's like the casino. When you start winning big legally, they either throw you out or they change the rules. That's exactly what they're going to do in Wall Street with the help of the government. And that's what they did with the Robin Hood traders when they said, you can't trade GME anymore. They pressured them. They put the pressure on them. See, folks, the choices are not up to us, whether it's elections or whether it's investments. The choices are up to the big corporations who rake in the billions with the wink of an eye and the help of government. Don't ever forget that. Anyways, let's see what happens with this. Let's move along to something else that's pretty cool. If you live in Mississippi and Tennessee, and I'll touch on Florida sales tax. Bills are being introduced in Mississippi and Tennessee that would repeal sales tax on gold and silver. I hope they get it. I can't tell you how long we worked on it. Back in the 80s, Florida, I think it was Governor Martinez was proposing. Was it Martinez? I can't remember. But anyway, he was proposing they put sales tax on coins and precious metals because we didn't have sales tax on coins and precious metals. And my father, myself, William Youngerman, Nick Hauser out of Florida, Larry Lee out of Panama were some of the larger well-known coin dealers in the state of Florida. We all got together. We hired lobbyists for years to try to get the sales tax removed off Florida, off bullion and coins on Florida. And this is a true story. We paid lobbyists, I think it was $30,000 to $50,000 for like 2 or 3 years in a row. I'm pretty sure that's correct. Then one day, someone came to us and said, listen, if you pay a certain Florida representative for his campaign, throw some money in his campaign instead of to the lobbyists, we can get this passed. Well, guess what, folks? I'm not going to go into specifics, but it was legally done, too. The money was thrown into a representative's account instead of a lobbyist, and the representative got sales tax exemption that very same year, which leads me to believe that lobbyists are so full of shit. All they are is to milk people every year because they milk the coin industry in Florida for about 3 years, 30 to 50 grand every year. I don't think they really wanted to fix it. They just wanted to keep seeing how much money they could get out of us every year. And as far as the representative that got the bill introduced and passed in the state of Florida, hey, great on him. He got some money thrown into his campaign account, and he actually got the shit done. Which goes to tell you, money talks, bullshit walks. So, I don't know how I digressed in that, but Florida doesn't have sales tax since way back when. We do have sales tax on any items that are not United States currency below $500, which means if you're spending less than $500 in the state of Florida on bars, on Maple Leafs, Krugerrands, non-U.S. denominated bullion or coins, there is sales tax until you meet the $500 threshold. Once you're over $500, no sales tax in Florida on this stuff, folks, which makes Florida a great state to buy precious metals, especially if you're spending over $500. If you don't have $500 to spend and you're a small investor, you're not stuck because you can still buy 90% U.S. silver coins because there's no sales tax on U.S. 90 because it is a legal tender. You can buy silver eagles and you can buy a whole bunch of U.S. coins and not pay sales tax as well. So you don't have to get stuck with that sales tax in Florida. You just can't buy certain products unless you're spending over $500. If you got any other questions about that, feel free to call and ask me anytime. Happy to discuss that and tell you exactly how you can avoid legally paying sales tax in Florida. I'm going to move on to just zero hedge because I like to kind of overlook the headlines just to go over a few things. Wall Street bets silver. We were just talking about that. Robinhood halts buying in GameStop and AMC. And again, who didn't know that? Like I said, these big Wall Street corporations that are shorted these companies all have government in their hands, in their pockets, and we were just talking about that as far as who you pay off, and that's why they're allowed to do it, but you're not. Anyways, moving along to a couple other things. Facebook hires Biden transition. That probably explains why I got kicked off Facebook for a month last month. I'm still kicked off for inciting violence. I didn't even do any sort of such thing. My God, I don't even know why. I just kind of think because I disagreed with the election results, I did get kicked off at Facebook. And I never said anything violent, but they accused me of doing such. Don't know why I went there, but anyway, here's that little article on Facebook, which you can read for free on Zero Hedge. Zero Hedge only charges $1 a day if you want their subscription service, which gets rid of all those annoying ads. For me, I like it. I like not having to look at those ads and have this page flash every 20 minutes. But you can read these articles for free, which is the nice thing about Zero Hedge. You do have to read their ads, but hey, they got to pay for it some way. Good article. You should read this. Is the Reddit rebellion about to descend on precious metals market? It's a possibility. I don't know if anything's proven yet, but it's a possibility, and it could drive. It could be the black swan event for precious metals for sure. Let's look at some other things that may have affected the gold price and silver prices this morning instead of the assumption that it might be these Robinhood and these kids that are going to jump into it. U.S. quarterly GDP grew 4%, missing estimates of 4.3. I think they expected a higher GDP growth than they got. Initial jobless claims trend back to the 4 months highs. So the jobs aren't good, folks. The GDP isn't as good as they expected. Let's see, analyst who has covered GameStop for 9 years calls the current run a pyramid scheme. Of course he would, because he's not winning in it. Futures fall, Europe tumbles, and amid fears of reflation, trade is dead, short squeeze, turmoil. Man, there's all kinds of crazy shit going on out there, folks. My recommendations with precious metals is if you haven't bought in, buy now, and buy the dips when you can possibly do it, and don't even consider selling yet. We're not even close to the sell point, folks. That's my opinion. Let's take a look at the markets here. I updated them a couple times, refreshed them this morning. My first refresh saw gold go from 1853, like in 2 minutes, to 1858, and saw silver. Silver was like 25.79, and I had refreshed the screen, and I refreshed it a couple seconds later, and it's over 26.01. It looks like we busted 26.20. So it's possible that maybe the Reddit people and all those people, those millennials that killed the shorts with GameStop and AMC are going to maybe kill the shorts in the silver market. I'd like to see that happen. No one deserves it more than the people that have been suppressing gold and silver for the last 20, 30 plus years. No one deserves it more than them. So I hope these guys come in and roll over, all over, and put some of these guys in their place. But of course, knowing government, they'll change the rules mid-step. And looks like platinum not up as much as silver and gold is this morning, kind of again doing its own thing. So, boy, kind of crazy day. Let's look at the range here. 1834, about a $30 range in gold. Silver making that crazy dollar range since this morning. And again, these moves are all up since this morning. And looks like platinum like a $40 range there as well. And palladium, who cares? So my recommendation is it buy, sell, or hold? Well, of course, you won't see me saying the S word for quite some time. Unless you called and tell me, Brian, when should I sell? And I'll tell you just to wait until you see a spike and then sell. But, you know, you have not seen the ups in this market. You haven't began to see the ups. My recommendation right now, buy if you don't have enough, or you had planned on buying more. You know, you may want to wait for the dip. It's up a little bit today. Tough to say what's going to happen, though, if there is a true black swan event. But at the very least, hold, folks, because this roller coaster is just starting out, and I've been saying that for some time, but We've not even hit the big hill yet. So that's really about it. This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. Hey, hopefully the roller coaster ride is going to start getting exciting here pretty soon. And it has been a roller coaster ride. You got to have the those dips too. And without the dips, the ups aren't as much fun. So, got any questions, call me at 954-493-8811 between the hours of 10 and 4, Mondays through Fridays. And also call us to ask what the best deal is. There is a shortage of product out there, folks. There are delayed deliveries. If this market starts to get heated up really fast, it is only going to get worse. And again, my recommendation, buy local dealers, don't buy online. Nothing wrong with the online guys, except, as I said, keep that money local. The guys that you spend, if you go to your local coin shop, your local bullion dealer, he spends that money in town. So that's very important to me, folks, and I think it should be important to you as well, even if he's a little bit more. But most of the time, I think you can find your local dealer to be completely very competitive, especially if you sit down and tell him what you want to do and you're willing to wait for the orders to come in. I'm sure he can beat all the online sellers. Why not? It's free money for him. Really, that's about it again. Got any questions, give me a call. And if anything really crazier happens than what's already happened this morning, I'll do another report today. If not, stay tuned and watch me tomorrow. And make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Hey, thanks again. Let's have a great, profitable day, folks. Talk to you soon.